All right, global health officials have sounded the alarm over rising cases of monkeypox in Europe and elsewhere. It's a type of viral infection more common to West and Central Africa. As of Saturday, 92 confirmed cases and 28 suspected cases of monkeypox have been reported from 12 member states that are not endemic for the virus, according to the World Health Organization. And then, as I mentioned right before we came on the air here, there was the confirmation of 2 cases out in Salt Lake City, Utah, and another one in Florida. And evidently, at least in the Salt Lake City case, the 2 traveled to an area where an outbreak occurred. So are we going through a pandemic all over again, or is this different? Patty Olinger is the executive director of the Global Biorisk Advisory Council. That's a division of ISSA, which is the leading trade organization for the cleaning industry worldwide. Miss Olinger, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Are you a doctor? Are you an infectious disease doctor?
No, I'm actually a biosafety professional. I was part of Team Ebola down at Emory. I led the environmental health and safety team, including the biosafety team, while I was there during that time.
Oh, okay. All right. I just if you were a doctor, I would address you as such, but I wasn't sure. So thank you for the.
I have 2 sons that are doctors.
Oh, really? Well, okay. Then we'll call you a doctor. What is their practice? What is their specialty?
They're both surgeons.
Wow. You got to be proud of them.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can't let them think that you're too far in the bag. I mean, you got to have some distance so that you can still be mom. And
that's right.
tell them what's right and wrong and what's up and down. All right. So what is monkeypox? What is this exactly? I've seen some pictures of some people with some mighty nice little bumps on their skin, but I'm sure there's more to it than that.
Yeah, it is. It's a pox virus. I mean, we know there's chicken pox that we're more familiar with. We hear about smallpox, and it is in the same family as smallpox, although it is not as deadly as smallpox or as concerning. But it is a pox virus of interest. As you said, we normally see it endemic in West Africa or Central Africa. We do not see it except in like a rare case where somebody had traveled there and came back. But we don't see it like we have. I think we're up to 15 countries now that they have confirmed cases. And from Johns Hopkins today, 160 confirmed cases.
Oh, okay. So that my numbers are a little dwarfed by the latest from Johns Hopkins. And then I'm seeing where is this a sexual form of monkeypox that there's some suspicion that the people that have it may have gotten it through sexual transmission. Evidently, there was some kind of, rave party or something in either, I guess, Belgium and maybe Spain. It's normally transmitted through droplets, similar to what we went through with COVID, but it's not as contagious as COVID. But could it be transmitted sexually?
So I think what people have to remember is close contact. So obviously sexual contact is close contact. And it's if you have lesions, those little bumps that you saw, mm-hmm. They will break. They're little pustular bumps, and they will break, and they'll have fluid in them that will be full of virus. So that close contact, it could be somebody who it's close contact with body fluids, respiratory droplets, as you indicated. So think about it this way as well. Somebody could potentially be having those early symptoms but they didn't think too much about it, flu-like symptoms again, and they give somebody a hug. They actually had I bit my lip yesterday, mm-hmm. and so I cut, and there's that close contact where, again, you potentially, and obviously sexual contact is a close contact.
Yeah, but one official from the World Health Organization, David Hyman, who's an infectious disease specialist, told Reuters what seems to be happening now is that it got into the population as a sexual form, as a genital form, and is being spread as sexually transmitted infections. Kind of sounds like a herpes, how herpes is transmitted.
What they said is actually that it's going to be difficult to distinguish whether the spread is being driven by the act of sexual contact or by just merely close contact. They believe that there's potential that maybe some of the first cases were through a sexual contact.
I see. Okay, but that wasn't the cause of it. You were just in close. I mean, if you're in sexual contact with somebody, you're going to be in close contact. Ergo, the close contact is what did you in.
Exactly.
All right. And what is it? Are you a little bit concerned or a lot concerned about the fact that this seems to be spreading to 16 countries, 16 member nations of the World Health Organization? Does that concern you? I mean, we've not heard of this that I can recall in recent decades where monkeypox, you barely ever hear of it.
No, interestingly, you're absolutely right. This is rare, and it has everybody kind of perked up and saying, okay, what is it that we need to be paying attention to? For the general population, I think that what we have to remember is everything that we've learned through COVID. Hand hygiene, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, making sure those as a business owner, those things that we touch a lot, handles, door, railings, that we are cleaning and disinfecting those. Those of us who have close contact, like the doctors and nurses, when you have somebody coming in and presenting, we need to make sure that we're protecting, our eyes, ears, our eyes, nose, and mouth. Potentially if you have a cut on your arm, you need to cover that. It's those types of things, those behaviors that we ourselves need to be aware of, and to protect ourselves and our families and our communities. The concern, I read recently, or actually just a little while ago, from the European CDC, is that what they really get concerned about, which is why they start asking about, quarantine and everything when someone is a suspect case, is that they don't want it to get into the animal population that's local, because then you start having the potential of it becoming endemic in the area.
Ooh, okay. Is the spread from human to animals? Is that easy again? Is that an easy contagion?
I don't have the answer to that here, like let's say in the States, but obviously it is what they call zoonotic disease, animals to humans, and that's usually where you see it in Africa. Yeah. It's endemic in some of the animal populations, and in fact, I think it was 2003, it had gotten, I think we had some cases in Ohio here in the United States because it had gotten into some prairie dogs or an animal that people were buying, and they were able to contain it very quickly. But this is really unprecedented as far as you indicated. What it needs to let us know is, if you think about it, last month we heard about bird flu, in the first case of bird flu. We've been dealing with COVID, and being prepared for a pandemic when you have so many people on a planet and we're traveling back and forth and we're interacting with each other more often than we did, say, 100 years ago, it's important that we really pay attention to those lessons that we've learned through COVID.
Yeah, because we may see more of this kind of thing, might we? For the reasons that you just described, the fact that we are so social, there's so many of us now on the planet, we tend to travel from country to country fairly readily, and people from other countries coming to this country. So I guess we should start to get used to these kind of alarms from time to time, more so than maybe we did before COVID came along. I
have a hard time with saying that we should get used to it. I think we should take note. The air we breathe, the surfaces that we touch, the water we drink, they're important to our lives. And so making sure that we're prepared. We've heard, Bill Gates talk about we need to be prepared. We've heard others talk about we need to be prepared. We have a tendency to focus, rightfully so, on healthcare and, vaccine production, but we need to take it a step further and look at those frontline workers, the emergency responders who are going to be responding to those folks who may be ill, the cleaning staff, the frontline workers who are at the front desk of a hotel and lobby, making sure that they have the awareness of how to protect themselves and how to protect their customers and their communities as well.
My understanding was that if you had a smallpox vaccine, you were fairly well protected against the monkeypox vaccine. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, and we have a lot of reserves. Those of us who've had the smallpox vaccination, most of us are it's I got it when I was, in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And because we eradicated smallpox, they have not given us the smallpox vaccination. There's been a lot of question as far as should we go ahead and revaccinate, just because it is a what we would call an agent of concern. If it ever, and most people think of it as a potential bioweapon type thing because of, our immunities probably have waned quite a bit since we got the original vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some discussion that starts to happen as far as should we revaccinate at some point in time.
Yeah, the EU's already advising countries to plan vaccines for a monkeypox outbreak, so we may see the same thing. And I guess I got it. When did they stop giving the smallpox vaccine? Do you recall, Patty?
I'm
had to look that up.
In the 70s,
Yeah.
Certain healthcare folks have gotten it more recently, and especially, if they were in one of the national emerging infectious disease hospital type. Just because they have to be really prepared for that front line. Yeah. And but I know that the United States, and I think President Biden has even indicated, we do have a very large stock of the smallpox vaccination in the event that we would need it.
Boy, having to get people back into a vaccine regimen again. I don't know that I look forward to that. Well, I guess we'll keep an eye on this. This doesn't seem to transmit as much as COVID. Is this more of a surface spread? Because during COVID, we didn't know. We were cleaning surfaces, putting up plexiglass. Of course, we had the masks and everything else. And as time went on and we got to know more about COVID, we began to focus more on the transmission of aerosol droplets coming out of our mouths rather than surface cleaning. Is monkeypox? Do we need to get back to being more conscious about surface cleaning? Understanding the surface cleaning is going to keep you from maybe getting the common cold, the flu. There are some things that if you don't wash your hands, you got dirty surfaces. There's various salmonellas and things like that, E. coli, that you can pick up if you're working with meat and that kind of thing. So it's important to keep hands and surfaces clean all the time. But is it more important with monkeypox maybe than we learned it was about COVID to keep surfaces cleaned and hands?
Because of the way it spread, especially that close contact and, body fluids on a surface, absolutely. Reality is, as you indicated, we know that a certain percentage of individuals would get COVID by a contaminated surface, but that the majority were airborne, not even a question. And so if we clean and disinfect, and especially focusing on those frequently touched things, the door handles, the handles, the front door that you walk into, that's why we're seeing more of the touchless technologies coming forward.
Yeah.
Those are those things that if we're doing that right, we actually are protecting ourselves not only to those few cases that you might see from COVID, monkeypox, flu, norovirus, MRSA, the staph, and streps of the world that are out there. So, it's a good thing. And if we're cleaning, there's a huge connection between hygiene and health. Yeah. And we're in a better place because of it.
All right, so good habits, continue to maintain those. That's the best advice against monkeypox and I guess just about anything else. We'll continue to watch all of this. Patty Olinger is an expert on infectious diseases, executive director of the Global Biorisk Advisory Council. Patty, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me, and stay safe.